Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to Season 3 and episode number 223 of the Daily Beaver podcast, the Daily Beaver Morning Show, here on the Crier Media Network. Yeah. Today, recording day is Friday, TGIF. Yeah. People who like XG will recognize that because TGIF in XG land does not mean thank God it's Friday. It means thank God I'm fly.
XG? What's XG?
XG, the group you turned me on to with Kokona.
Sorry.
The Extraordinary Gals.
Yeah, no. I get it now. It's like XG. Is that a video game? I can't remember all the references. I'm old. Yes. I've had a lot of concussions.
So yes, TGIF stands for Thank God I'm Fly. There you go. And so are all of you. Guy. Yeah, and so are all of you, kits and cubs, because you know exactly where to be at this time of the day. And that's right here at the Beaver Lodge. Did I mention the recording day? I think I did. But let's do it again just in case. Today, recording day is Friday, October 6th, 2023. And it's rain here at the Beaver Lodge. It's going to be rain today. It's going to be rain tomorrow. It's going to be rain from Sunday night until morning. We do need it because there's been very little of it the last 2 to 3 weeks. But yeah, lots of rain for Thanksgiving because, of course, it's a long weekend, kids.
Yeah, so the weather has to be miserable, right?
Yes, and it's, of course, it's tryptophan long weekend, so I hope you enjoy your bonus snooze time. I can't believe I ate the whole thing.
That's the one, the spicy meatball. Was that for Tums or Pepto? It was
Alka-Seltzer, I think it was.
Alka-Seltzer.
Was it Alka-Seltzer?
I can't believe I ate the whole thing. Yeah, I remember that well. Yeah, it was Alka-Seltzer. And then the song, plop, plop, fizz, fizz, oh, what a relief it is. But the plop, plop makes me think of something else.
Yeah, I know. It was so much fun on the schoolyard when you were 5. Oh my God, we sang that so much.
Oh, James is offended at us from my Italian accent.
Oh man, I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, he, Mr. Beaver, and as you can already hear, my good friend, my brother from another brother, Mr. Grizzly, is here. And by the way, good morning, Mama Grizzly, if you're watching.
She tunes in frequently, not necessarily at the morning show. She usually catches it on the replay because My mom used to get up every morning very early, but as she's gotten older, she goes, "You know what? Now that I'm older and we're retired, and if I don't feel like getting up at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m., I just don't. I just lie in bed and enjoy it." And I'm like, "As well you should. You've earned
Yes.
it.
Well,
You've earned it."
turns out that we may no longer have the option because turns out over the last week we've been waking up to the sound of a rooster because it seems our next door neighbor has decided to get hens.
Well, so well, here's the thing that the rooster. People say, "Oh, they crow when they see the sun first thing in the morning because they know it lets you know it's morning." I'm like, no, they do it whenever they see the sun, all day long,
Yeah, and they
like
do
all
it,
day long.
and they do it before they see the sun.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's just
This
to let
morning, one
everybody
was
know.
crowing at 5:30, and I looked outside, and there was no light yet.
Well, they'll do it just to let you know, hey, I'm up. Everybody else should be up too. But everybody get up. It's time to get up. I'm the cock of the walk, literally. Time to get up.
Now, my neighbor is a single father of 4 children, so he is already up
Oh
early
yeah,
because
yeah,
he's got to get
definitely.
them up to school.
Single dad with 4 kids. Holy shit.
But yeah, I don't think anybody in the neighborhood expected all of a sudden rooster.
A big loud cock first thing in the morning.
Yes, so I'm not sure how that's gonna go down. I just, bec I you know, s I can understand that we're moving more to an age where people who happen to have some land because they have a backyard or a front yard are growing food, and some people are wanting to do the hen thing. But there also is a when you're going to impose something making that type of noise at 5:30 in the morning on an entire neighborhood.
Yeah, yeah. Time to start insulating the windows.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, we're not going to be the ones to do it because we've had our incident with our neighbor thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and Linda brings up a good point here. Does he know that you don't need a rooster in order for hens to produce eggs? And that is correct. So I don't know, like, why would he have a rooster? Like, I don't.
Somebody told me that the hens had to see a rooster at least like once every 28 days or something like this so that they keep on laying, but I know nothing about that. Again,
I don't know.
Cassie might be able to tell us.
And roosters are not necessary for eggs.
Yeah. So
Well, here's the thing. It's like, okay, rooster when they lay an egg a day, that's the ovulation. They just do it every day. It's the natural progression of them. Now, maybe he has the rooster so that the hens he has may be a little bit older and he needs to get
maybe wants
replacement
chicks.
ones. I don't know.
And we don't know if the rooster happens to be just visiting for a time or that he's here to stay until
he needs to.
It's time to doing his business. Yes, fertilization.
Well, that's true too, James.
Because it could be
They
wanting
guard against
chicks.
predators, right? So
yes, as well. Yes.
yeah.
So yeah, and we do have a good number of gophers and groundhogs and squirrels and all that good stuff around here. Rabbits,
raccoons, probably some foxes.
Yep. So yeah. He maybe got sold the rooster by mistake. That's possible as well. But yeah, we'll see. But it's just an interesting thing, and I'm pretty sure. I have a feeling that the neighbor who had an issue with us taking measurements, very, very quietly taking measurements.
This is the passive aggressive move. I'll get a rooster. Fuck them.
Might be, and he lives at least a door closer to the rooster than. So yeah, I don't know. I just have a feeling that when you do something like that, somebody is going to call bylaw somewhere along the way. Because that's new when you don't expect it.
Yeah, because backyard chickens are like allowed within
Oh yeah,
urban areas. I just don't know what the ruling is on the hen or the rooster. Sorry.
yeah. Don't know whatsoever, but I'm guessing And who knows? Maybe everybody's just going to be cool with it and move on. You never know. But yeah, like I said, we've already had our neighbor incident, so I'm keeping my head down. I'm waiting for somebody else to complain first.
I know a few folks that have backyard chickens here in town. And a buddy of mine was up at his cottage. They have there's a couple of his neighbors have backyard chickens, but they also have ducks that come by, and so they have duck eggs as well, and they're quite a bit bigger than standard chicken eggs, and they taste the same, but they're bigger.
Yeah, like Ketlin Am says, I support city folks getting chickens. Remind them that food doesn't come from the grocery store. I personally have no problem with it, but the rooster could be an issue.
Just give me a sec here.
It's not for me. I'm typically up anyway now, but I remember back in the day when I used to not like to get up before 10 a.m. if I could avoid it. That would have been torture. All right. I don't know if you've went to get something for us, Mr. Grizzly.
I'm sorry? Say that again.
I didn't know if you went to get something for us.
No, I just needed to grab my work laptop so that
all right.
when the 8 o'clock hour rolls around, I'll be able to start my day job.
Kate Lane goes, backyard chickens are not allowed in Windsor. The mayor says they are clucking ridiculous. I love bad jokes. All right. Let's see. Today. I wanted to.
Sorry? I have a headline for you.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
This is from Press Progress.
Yes.
I'll throw a link in the chat. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep. Absolutely.
I thought we would discuss the link in the chat right away. Save the Children convoy leaders plotted to capture police and MPs at secret meetings, participants allege. And I'm going to read some of this article to the kids. So give me a sec here. It says, during secret planning meeting, leaders of a convoy inspired by far-right pedophile conspiracies allegedly told participants they planned to round up police officers and members of parliament in Toronto and Ottawa before sending a final convoy to Tofino, British Columbia to, in quotation marks, take the head off the snake. Over the summer, groups and individuals previously associated with the Freedom Convoy have been holding secret in-person meetings at locations across Canada to iron out plans for the so-called Save the Children convoy this fall. This week, the convoy set up a rural base camp near Castleman, 40 minutes outside Ottawa. A live stream to announce the opening of the camp was interrupted by a rival convoy group, leading to an incident that saw a man thrown from the hood of a moving car while attempting to punch in its windshield.
As shown on our show.
Yes, we did show that the other day. On Wednesday, the convoy headed into Ottawa and attempted to confront MPs leaving the House of Commons, ending in multiple arrests and one convoy supporter getting tasered by police. Oh, and that convoy
which
supporter,
we also showed.
And they said he was an elder. He turned 54 this past July. Call me an elder to my face and see what happens to you. I will not be polite about it. I'm 55, he's 54. We're not elders. It's 10 more years before I'm considered a senior. So, anyway, that whole article is in the chat. I suggest you go and have a look at it. It is very disturbing. Yeah, it's a peaceful protest. They're not violent.
Well, that's the number one thing, right? Is right off the bat, because the first thing I thought was of Heave a Chipmunk. Here's another peaceful protest for you to wax romantic about now.
Yeah.
And for kids, I do want to read a couple of other things from the article, actually, because my eyes opened pretty wide, and I'm not, how would I put it? I'm becoming, I don't know if the word is less naive, because I wasn't naive, but in the sense that the conversations that I keep on having with David Wallace, I'm going like, my mind just does not work that way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm starting to get a little better to put myself in those shoes.
You kind of have to, right?
Well, to do what we're doing, we kind of have to, right? Um, and well, based on stuff that I've been hearing, not too much would surprise me, and this made my eyes open up a little wider. So as I was reading it, said Jody Ledgerwood, a real estate broker from Cobourg, Ontario, who played a behind-the-scenes role during the 2022 Freedom Convoy occupation, told Press Progress she attended 2 secret Save the Children convoy meetings in Marmora and Mississauga this summer. Now, you have to understand, kids, what's going on here is that this is people within the movement saying, whoa, these guys are way too wild for us, and ratting out people in the movement. All right. So this is the call coming from inside their own house. So when you saw them all fighting and arguing, that's everywhere and in everything. So according to Ledgerwood, at these meetings, some Save the Children convoy leaders shared a plan that allegedly involved 3 phases. Phase 1 of the plan involved sending a convoy to occupy Toronto's financial district. When Toronto police mobilized public order units to end the convoy occupation, a second convoy would surprise police and box them in, forcing police to surrender.
I actually saw a live video clip of them discussing this that was leaked on from Telegram. Somebody recorded it and leaked it.
Yeah,
I saw that video.
Veterans for Freedom. If you look up Veterans for Freedom, their YouTube channel, you can see it. There's about a 4-minute video, audio. Well, just the audio clipping with a transcription of it. But yeah. Phase 2 involved surrounding 8 federal buildings in Ottawa and detaining MPs, holding the elected officials in custody until they gave into the convoy's leaders' demands. But this is a peaceful protest and a peaceful movement. And while Phase 2 was unfolding, another group would simultaneously execute Phase 3 by sending a final convoy to confront the Freemasons in the oceanside village of Tofino, British Columbia, where they would take the head off the snake. I don't speak the code, so I have no idea what that means.
Well,
I know that there are people that talk about Freemasons and that there's some type of link somehow tenuously with all this conspiracy stuff.
They're so far down the
enough about
rabbit
it and
hole.
don't care about that enough that I culturally, as we say in French, ça manque à ma culture. I'm lacking. Well, I have no idea what that means.
The Save the Convoy's Freedom Facebook group contains numerous conspiratorial posts about Freemasons, with some suggesting physically attending Masonic temples where they believe rituals and pedo stuff are taking place. This is, you're right, James. This is QAnon shit.
Yep.
It's right out there. It's right out there. I mean, these
Sound of Freedom
are right off the deep end. Yeah.
So Ledgerwood, who clarified she was 100% opposed to the plan, quote, elaborated in more detail about her, quote, serious allegations in a Facebook live stream video Wednesday. And if you go to the Press Progress article that Mr. Grizzly put in the chat, there's a link to the video there that you can click onto. So this was in terms of organization, in terms of coming up with a plan, that was a pretty devious plan, clearly not peaceful.
No.
Trapping police, trapping MPs, and then, holding them until you get what you want, which is, I believe, the classic definition of terrorism.
Well,
wouldn't it be?
Her allegations were separately corroborated by another convoy activist named Corey Sager, who told Press Progress he heard the same plan at a meeting he attended, apart from the details about targeting the Freemasons in Tofino. She's telling the truth about Ottawa and Toronto for sure. I wasn't there long enough to hear about Tofino, but I was there for Toronto and Ottawa details. So this is a group of terrorists.
Yep. Now, Sager, who you just mentioned, was made national headlines, according to the article this summer, because he led an aggressive group of protesters that swarmed the Prime Minister at appearance in Belleville. Right? Now, he's been on social media distancing himself from the convoy after attending some of these meetings. But he says, quote, towards the end of the meeting, they start to talk about some things that aren't at all that peaceful. All of these people are planning on committing acts that are straight up terrorism. I know that they're terrorism if I read the law on terrorism and then I compare with what they have told us they are going to do. Again, inside the house.
Yes.
My biggest concern about it is the way that regular people, and here's the thing right now. This is the one that really, I mean, the first thing made my eyes open, but this one that somebody actually said it and that it came from inside the house. My biggest concern about it is the way that regular people who have no idea what's going on are being used. Some of the moves that we talked about, like using crowds of people against the police, those crowds are made up of people, mostly of people who don't know what's going on. They don't know the plan, so they're going to be stuck in the middle of this. And that's the thing. You've got the ringleaders, and then you've got all the people that are just, for whatever reason, they're there. A sense of belonging. They don't have anything to do. Life has dealt them a bad hand. And they finally met some people that say, hey, we'll be your family. And no, you're not crazy. Everybody else is. And you're on the right track. And you're not a bad person. Everybody else is. Stick with us. We'll treat you right. We'll love you. Blah, blah, blah. They join that. And then there's all the people that just show up because I'm pissed off at the government and whatnot. All those additional people that are not in on the plot,
the hangers-on, the people who finally feel like they have community,
for the people
not knowing that they're being used,
for the people that are organizing the plot, they are just extra bodies brought in for when chaos ensues.
Yeah. They take the bullets.
Or, whoa, they see something going, so they start fighting back because they think that they're being attacked, even though they're not there for the fight. They
and
get
when I say
corralled
they
into
take the bullets,
fight.
I mean proverbial, right? I don't mean actual bullets.
Yes. And then a whole bunch of people, pandemonium, chaos, creating other people.
Look at what they're doing to us.
What will they be doing? What will they be setting off or lighting in the background while this is going on? All those people that are bringing there, like this, that million van march for saving the children against curriculum or whatever that they had a couple of days ago. All those Muslim people that were there, that they tricked into being there for the most part. Especially newer Canadians who might not be familiar how things work here. Who it's easy to convince them, that the curriculum is actually telling, their 6-year-old how they can share sex toys safely or something stupid like that.
Well,
had there been violence there, they would have just been human shields. Pardon?
Oh, yeah. There's one quotation in the article from Veterans for Freedom President Andrew McGilvery. He said the group was first tipped off about plans after the police called us about it a couple of months ago. He says, I believe those guys and the other organizers are being led into something that they aren't aware of. This is where it gets trippy. The guys in that video talking about civil war. He's talking about treason against the government. If you think you're going to get a bunch of people together to go arrest politicians and hold a kangaroo court and try them, you're out of your mind. So all these groups, these breakaway groups, these different groups are all literally abandoning this Save the Children convoy because it's like, these people are nuts. Now, I've been talking, and apologies if you get offended by my statement calling those people nuts, but that is what they're saying. I'm just repeating the words. And here's the thing. The leaders of all of these organizations from the beginning, none of it was ever peaceful. Not a single bit of it. Trust me, I know because I saw it happen in my neighborhood. They were never peaceful. And it's the top brass in the organization, not, like you say, not the foot soldiers. The foot soldiers don't know what's going on. They're just trying to join to get a sense of community, and they're in the bias confirmation echo chambers. So they, when everybody says, "Oh, you're doing great work," they just keep, "Hey, you know what? That gives me a little jolt of serotonin. This is great. I feel happy. People accept me. They love me. They think I'm wonderful. I'm going to keep doing this." And while they continue to pump them up by telling them exactly what they want to hear, they're going to march them into the battle. And these people have no idea what they're walking into. Meanwhile, these generals, for want of a better term, don't give a shit. They don't care. They don't care. They will sacrifice you to get what they want, and what they want is to take over the government, which means you are no longer a Canadian citizen. You're a treasonous son of a bitch. Apologies to your mother. But come on. That's just... So, you know, when David Wallace tells us that he is, you know, organizing, getting an organization together to fight back against this sort of thing, he knows what he's talking about, and he's deadly serious that our democracy is on the razor's edge right now if we don't fight for it, because you've got people within the federal government who are actively working against the federal government and doing, well, I mean, as I wrote in the little write-up, Pierre Poilievre lying every single day and never gets held to task for it. Talking about how Justin Trudeau promised affordable meals by Thanksgiving. He never said anything of the sort. He never mentioned those words. What he talked about was he got together with the grocers and said, come up with a plan for us. We'd hope to hear something from you by Thanksgiving. That's completely different from what Poilievre just said. And let's not forget how Jagmeet yesterday went on about there's a rent strike in Toronto, and where's Justin Trudeau on this? And it's like, dude, it's a provincial matter, not a federal matter. Stop it. Stop gaslighting us. Stop lying. Our democracy is in peril if we do not stand up and make these folks be held to account by journalists, by media. I mean, we're just two guys with microphones and thoughts that we thought we should share and try and give you the facts that you need to hear so you can make an informed decision, because clearly Canadian media has failed us in that front.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I hear you. Will you share
Kendra's asking for a link.
Dave Wallace once organized? Yeah. Absolutely, we will.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. Mr. Grizzly. We're going to speak French for a bit.
Okay.
Yes, let's talk French. I sent you a link. If you could bring it, I believe to, around a minute 26, I believe. But I'm going to take a little check on that myself there for a second. So I have to go on mute so that you don't hear a bunch of noise.
Yeah, no problem. I understand. It's funny how we have to do these things sometimes, and of course they really do chew through your processor in the process, which is kind of funny. Processor in the process. Get it? Get it? Kind of a joke there. It's an inside joke for me. It's a tech joke. Sorry, I'm having a moment here. Did you find what you were looking for?
I haven't. So try about a minute 26, because for some reason, every time I seem to click on it, it seems to go back to the ad at the beginning of the thing that they wanted.
Okay.
And it won't show me the
actual
thing.
We'll try it right around there. Hang on. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's see what this
okay.
does.
A little later than that.
That's at 126.
Yeah, a little later than that. Go until you see Mr. Canoe. Right there. That's good.
Conférence de presse, Webkino a affirmé que le Manitoba était une province bilingue et a promis de répondre aux attentes élevées qui la nourrissent.
Notre province est une province bilingue. Nous travaillerons ensemble pour livrer des services dans la langue française, soit dans le système de santé, soit dans le système d'éducation, n'importe où, et nous allons inclure la francophonie dans notre gouvernement.
Pour l'instant, l'heure est à l'optimisme.
I was listening to a podcast in French. And all of a sudden I hear this guy.
Oh, you didn't know he spoke French?
I had no clue. The guy is trilingual. He's Anishinaabe from Ontario, but when they moved to Winnipeg, he actually went to the Collège Beaver.
So he speaks English, French, and
I don't know what the language is for if it's called Anishinaabe, if it's a language
I
or
thought he was I thought Wab was Ojibwe.
according to news reports, it said Anishinaabe.
Okay, well, I remember him. Well, I remember him watching him on CBC, and he was talking. He says, "If you're Ojibwe, you have curly hair like me, because if he lets his hair loose, like it's slicked back. If he takes it out of that, it's very curly."
Yes. And see, we have one person.
Ojibwe.
Well, and then we have Hugh saying Anishinaabe. So
so I'm very confused.
I'm very confused as well. Oh, Anishinaabe equals
a dumb
Ojibwe.
white guy.
There you go.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank
there
you.
you go.
Says, see this? I did
not know either.
TIL today. I learned.
Yes. So went to Collège Beaver. It seems that there's a certain number of I'm not sure. Is it MLAs in Manitoba? I'm going to guess MLAs in Manitoba.
Manitoba legislature.
Where
they have the Second Amendment.
Yes, where there's a certain number of them that are actually bilingual. And during the campaign, they had reached out specifically to the Francophone community. And I just thought it was really, really interesting because, we know that there's a Francophone community in St. Boniface. I mean, that's for sure.
Well,
it's headquartered, but that's sort of like le bercail, le berceau, the cradle in Manitoba. But during the campaign, he made efforts to specifically reach out to the community, and it seems that he is very serious about it. Daniel Boucher, who's the leader of the Société francophone franco-manitobaine, there's a clip of him in that news piece where he's talking about Mr. Canoe, not Mr. Canoe, but the relationship with the new government. And he's saying, of course, it's a positive that we have a government that wants to reach out and deal with us in our own language, particularly when it comes to healthcare delivery. And, if we're going to fix that, we would like to be in on the ground floor because we have some ideas. He says, but it's absolutely sure that it's a benefit, and it gets a working relationship off to a good start. And you would think that, given the level of outreach, it would be, wow, we finally have somebody who speaks French, and and this guy was like really, 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 really like just playing it cool, calm, and collected. So I don't know if it's this guy that knows how to play his cards close to his chest, or at the end of the clip when he says that, he's saying, well, it gets a working relationship off to a good start. There's a little smirk or lip up like this that makes it sound sort of also, the interpretation could be, yeah, I've been doing this fighting for French rights in Manitoba thing for a long, long, long time, and nobody ever delivers. So, yeah, it gets the working relationship off to a good start, but we'll see. So it's either someone who's playing it really close to the vest and is not being too excited, so because, doesn't want to give it up too early, or somebody that's been disappointed many, many, many a time. Yeah. But it's I like it. I like this outreach from him, and it's like I said, it seems that there are more than one or two within his caucus who are at least bilingual English and French. And now, here's the thing with Mr. Canoe is that, given that he is trilingual and his French is as good, if not better than Mr. Poilievre's even. And we have Doug Ford in Ontario, who in the last election couldn't debate in French. He actually had to send a representative. In fact, all the leaders of the parties had to send a representative in their stead to talk for them and give media lines, because none of them were able to debate in
bad
French.
when you think about it, right?
Yeah, and now in Manitoba, we have a premier who's not only, unilingual, not bilingual, but trilingual. The first First Nations premier of a province in Canada is
And he speaks
trilingual.
3 languages.
What is everybody else's excuse?
Well, it's difficult. Yeah, of course it is. No shit. Really? It's difficult? I didn't know learning a new language was difficult. Just apply yourself, man. Especially when you're in the federal government. I have friends who work for the Federal Public Service who have gone on the French course. A buddy of mine actually, he did 2 years because he got good at it and he wanted to get better. So he took more courses. Then he took 2 months and lived in France to improve his French.
Mm-hmm.
Because he said, I don't want to be able to just speak French as in, average everyday Quebecois style. He goes, I want to be able to speak French properly, correctly, so that when I come back here, I can speak it properly, correctly, like I've been educated correctly as an Anglophone from Saskatchewan. And, now that I can speak French, I can do the Quebecois because I've been around it for the 25 plus years. But I also have proper language instruction. I'm like, he took the time to do that. They're like, well, it was a 2-month holiday. No, it wasn't. He was in France for 2 months in class every day. But the federal government shouldn't pay for that. Why not? Shouldn't we have an educated workforce? If you work in private sector, as I do, and you need qualifications for your job as technology changes, they send me on course. This is how it works. So if you need to upgrade your skill set to be relevant in your position, this is how it works. Your employer, and in this case, it's the federal government, will send you away to take the courses that you need. So, what I'm basically doing right now is trying to preempt the people who are going to scream about, well, why are we paying for that? Well, because it's necessary to do his job.
Yeah.
It's not complicated.
Yep. So, yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. I'm so happy. And now I am really interested to see what the relationship between the Premier of Manitoba and the Premier of Quebec is going to be. Because normally if there were 2 provinces, it was going to be Quebec and New Brunswick on the French thing every now and then. Or sometimes...
Because New Brunswick is the only officially bilingual province in Canada.
And Mr. Canoe said in French there, says Manitoba is a bilingual province.
So are they going to move to make it official?
I don't know. But his attitude is that it is.
Well, and there is a very large Francophone community in Saskatchewan as well, right?
Yep, absolutely. But I think it's about 10% of the population of Manitoba that speaks French. I think, or is it maybe 10% of the population of St. Boniface? That's quote me on that one. It might be 10% of the population of St. Boniface itself. But this is, like I said, it's absolutely fantastic news. Now, during the campaign, the New Democrats promised to boost French services in the province if elected. Well, now elected, but if elected, candidate Canoe said that he would work with La Société de la Francophonie Manitobaine and La Division Scolaire Franco-Manitobaine, so the school board as well as the French Advocacy Society, the Francophone Advocacy Society, to make improvements, that he would restore the Assistant Deputy Minister position in the Bureau de l'Éducation Française and work with l'Université de Saint-Boniface to train and recruit more French teachers. During the campaign, he said, quote, "This announcement here today, along with our great candidates and some of his team and members of the community, is a moment for us to reflect on the important role that the Francophone community and the Métis people have played in creating the Manitoba that we know and love." And he also says that cuts made by the PC government caused a crisis in the French language services, especially in healthcare, and he pledged to ensure that the Info Santé phone line is restored as well. So that's Daniel Boucher's comments, that he would like to be able to get in on the ground floor as you're making the plans. So rather than, having the plans presented to us and then trying to adapt them for the culture. And it would seem that Mr. Canoe might be somebody who would be open to that type, because again, it's also the concept of the indigenous community says nothing about us without us. Right. And another way you can say that is something that we've talked about on the show, the JIPA principle, greater involvement of people affected. So if you're going to change services, for example, in the hospitals for francophones, well, bring in the francophones at the beginning. At the beginning, and get them in on the ground floor so that you have a better designed program and better buy-in, and you can spot errors earlier and fix them along the way, and have a better product. It might take a little longer to get it off the ground, but once you get it off the ground, there's going to be more people buying in, and participative management and all those types of things. Well, Mr. Canoe would be essentially applying those same principles to the francophone community in this case. So it's a good way. The manner in which he will treat the francophone community will probably be quite good, because he's probably going to be using it as an example elsewhere for how indigenous communities should be treated, particularly when it comes to language. So he has an opportunity here to lead by example. There's so many opportunities open to him, and just with this dynamic now that I'm going to find really interesting. The other thing that's interesting that I did not know, and I learned recently, is that while Canoe is Manitoba's first First Nations premier, he is its second Indigenous premier. It seems that John Norquay, who served as the province's fifth premier until 1887, was Métis.
I thought he was Inuk. Maybe I get my wrong information.
Good. From what I have from CTV, it says Métis here.
Okay. I may have been led astray. That happens sometimes.
It happens. Or this may be incorrect too, right? When it comes to this kind of stuff, there are lots of mistakes. We have to quadruple check, even from source.
Well, and sometimes the source is like, this is from CTV News. Yeah, and where did they look? Where did they get the information?
Exactly.
Is the other
Exactly.
Because sometimes, as you've known, we've seen. Okay, so Cassie's saying Norquay was
Métis.
Was Métis. Okay, yeah, okay, that's good to know. Thank you, Cassie.
Thank you.
Sometimes, as we've seen, they will just get the information from a single source and then put it out there, and it's like, ooh, none of that was true. None of that was true. You're supposed to triple, quadruple check, especially when you are paid to do this.
Yes, indeed. So you have all this going on in Manitoba, and meanwhile, on the other side of the country, out in New Brunswick, it seems that a center that was announced in 2021 by the federal government to help boost francophone immigration in the province of New Brunswick. There seems to be some concerns that it's slow getting off the ground, because it's been 2 years since it was announced, and there's only 6 employees and no programming yet and no website yet for it. They say that they're organizing policy and structure and getting that off the ground, and might be ready to start and making relationships with the community and establishing networks, and should have more to go in September. But in the province of New Brunswick, from census to census, the number of people who identify as francophone has decreased the fastest ever. So it's gone from 31.6% to 30% in that time. So, as is the case for the province of Quebec, they're trying to direct more francophone-based immigration into New Brunswick purposely to try and maintain the level of francophone speakers in the province. Quebec's trying to do that as well. And there was in that report also, there was a comment from someone who talked about that even Manitoba is considering that. From the francophone communities.
Two things from the chat I want to mention here is Saucy saying, I sense a future PM for Wap Canoe. I wouldn't rule that out. I really wouldn't. When I was at my Scotch and Cigar night the other night, I was talking to the guys. I said, did you see his acceptance speech? And again, these are guys who have been lifelong progressive conservatives who are like, yes. And I like what he had to say. And I said, guys, when I pointed out a few things, I go, those are progressive conservative platform policies from when there wasn't a federal, and they're like, yes, you're right. That's exactly what it is. We want to give you a hand up, not a handout. And that's the difference. That's a progressive policy from the PCs, from the days of yore, if you will. But here's the other thing from Cassie. Candice Bergen was on the news here claiming she had nothing to do with the negative ad campaign for the PC Party of Manitoba. How much you want to bet if the Heather Stephenson retained the title of Premier and they won, she'd be saying she had everything to do with it?
Yeah, maybe, but that's a bold limb to go out on so soon for her. If it wasn't true, we should be hearing right about half a freckle past a hair that she lied about that.
Well, I'm waiting to find out because I have a difficult time believing her that she had nothing to do with that. Reason being, she goes, let's make this the Prime Minister's problem.
Yes, but as Cassie says right here, she will launch her leadership bid as Candice is probably going to be vying for the leadership. If she had anything to do with that particular thing of the campaign, given how in these circles, as we saw with the Save the Convoy bunch and whatnot, and well, they did get rid of Jason Kenney and they did get rid of O'Toole, and then they kind of sort of got rid of Scheer. They tend to eat their own.
Yes.
If she had been a part of that and said that she hadn't, there'd be somebody else in the room going right now, oh, no, sister, you were part of it. If we're going down, you're coming down with us.
What Linda's saying here, let's see how he governs first and not impose a lot of high expectations. Yes. We need to see if he can actually get stuff done. Agreed, Linda, agreed. Here's where my thought process is, though. The potential. And I think in many ways, Wob has a Jack Layton-esque air about him, right? Because when he speaks with confidence and authority. Now, not quite as much as Jack, but Jack was considerably older and had been in the game a lot longer. And I think Jack had some media training on how to speak to people. Remember they made us take public speaking in elementary school and then on to high school, and some people loved it, some people hated it. Most people hate it. Me, I loved it. Why? Because I got to get up there and act. Because public speaking, whether you realize it or not, is a form of acting. Because you're trying to sell a message. It's salesmanship or salespersonship. I'm going to go with salesmanship. Don't hate me for that. It's just because I was a salesman. I was a salesman for a long time. But that's what it is. You're up there selling yourself and your idea. So you need to have the right body language, the right intonation, the right inflection, the right tonality, the right nuance to your voice. And that's all very important. And Jack Layton was a master at that.
Yep.
When he would speak, he'd go, "You don't know Jack." And I'm like, man, he's going to, like, when he spoke, I fell victim to it. I don't know if victim is the correct term, but I got on the bandwagon of, you know what? I don't even know what he said, but I believed him. Right? It wasn't so much what he said, it was how he said it. And that is part of the sales game. That is the act. And if you can say the right things and follow up by doing them, but deliver it in that package, you're gonna be successful.
You're going places, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's the dynamic of how Mr. Canu's relationship is going to be with Mr. Legault. That'll be interesting. It'll also be interesting to see what his relationship will be with Monsieur Poilievre. Given that it seems that the only time the Conservatives are interested in Indigenous people is if they can use them as a cudgel with which to beat the Prime Minister over the head, or, well, they like Indigenous people who like oil or pipelines to pass through on their land. Them they like. Them they say, well, what about their choice? Well, because their choice happens to very conveniently dovetail with your choice.
Funny how that works, eh?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But then, those same people that'll allow the pipeline on when they go to stop you from cutting a tree, all of a sudden they're not your friends anymore, are they?
Not peculiar.
All right. So
I'm going to get a coffee and turn on some pink lights here because I'm feeling very pinkish today.
Ooh. La vie en rose, les amours. la vie en rose since we are speaking the French today, huh? How do you like it? So, yes, we have, like I said, the Premier of Manitoba speaking French, making commitments to the Francophone community. We have on the other side of the country, people in New Brunswick worried about the declining French population and why it's taking a while for a type of service that would encourage Francophone immigration to come to New Brunswick, which is going to be, which is established in Dieppe specifically, is taking some time to really get off the ground. You got people in Quebec wondering the same thing in terms of not when is their organization going to get off the ground, but they've got some interesting laws that are going through the courts in Quebec at the moment and will probably at some point result in a challenge at the Supreme Court. Not only the hijab law or anti-ostentatious religious symbol law for being able to teach, but also the language laws specifically, the one specifically where I think people have about like 6 months to learn French when they arrive, and after that they can't get served in English, um, which is rather short amount of time, particularly given the um, staffing shortage and the shortage of people that can actually teach French, especially if you want people in Quebec to establish themselves not only in the main urban areas, but elsewhere as well. So you have that going on. And with that argument, you have an interesting situation once again for PeePee, because PeePee is taking the position that he respects the autonomy of the provinces, right? Now, that was a thing that he was saying specifically in Quebec earlier when he was trying to earn some votes there and trying to build that during his leadership campaign. However, if you respect the autonomy of the provinces with regard to French, in all cases, he has a situation where he's seems to be very pro discrimination against the Muslim community or any community that would wear religious symbols on the outside, which is probably not good on a national basis, particularly on the 905. And of course, this is now moving away from language and moving away from religion, but now it's entering the field of sexual orientation because of what is happening in Saskatchewan with the invocation of the notwithstanding clause. And well, it seems that the buzz on the street is that inside the party, there's a faction of people that really, really, really want him to take a firm stand on this. And then there's another faction of the party that wants him to just, you know what, you already got these people, so just like play it vague. But there were resolutions at the convention, and well, at first he says, well, I don't want to pronounce myself on the resolutions before they're voted on because I don't want to influence them or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Just like he doesn't want to get a security clearance because he doesn't want to be gagged or whatnot. There's always some reason for which he can't do anything, right?
And it's always somebody else's fault.
But it's been voted on now.
So,
and now it's policy. So now people are asking like this, well, you know, we understand that the leader doesn't have to follow policy, but are you going to? And if the next election is going to be about, well, 2 years from now, there's only so many times he can like delay that before people are going to start asking an answer. And I'm guessing he's waiting to see how it plays out because, well, it seems that in Manitoba it didn't work out very well. But you can also make the case that in Manitoba it had pretty much been decided 3 years ago that that government was going out. So they tried the Hail Mary, it didn't work, but is it that thing specifically that turned people off, that sealed the deal? And maybe sealed the deal for majority. But did it seal the deal for, are they going to lose? That one was maybe baked in. Where we're really going to see it is New Brunswick when they have their election next year. Because Mr. Higgs is really, he's basically betting, he's all in on that. He's betting it all on the 00 at the roulette table.
Oh, yeah.
So so the 00 is green, right? He's not even betting on red or black. He's green. He's taking the 1-1. If it works for him, more people are going to try it. If it doesn't work for him, it might get abandoned. And then I was wondering what it is about Scott Moe. Because, when you ever look at these polls, they do, I think Angus Reid is the one that does it regularly, of how the premiers are viewed in their own province. And he's generally among the highest rated for some reason I do not understand. So he's not in danger. But it turns out, it seems that the last 4 by-elections that they've had in Saskatchewan, he's lost 3 of them. Which may be why he's feeling he needs to shore up that base a little bit by a little wink and a nod. I guess, and to show that he really means it. More than Higgs, more than Stephenson, more than Ford, who's not even he's just having leche talk about it here and there, saying we need to respect parents, but not really saying anything, because he too's dipping the toe in the water to see if this one's a winner. He's not closing the door on it. It's just putting out the little message saying, I'm open. I'm open. We'll see. I'm open. But the Saskatchewan thing, there are going to be lawsuits.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Right. So he's definitely in it for the long haul, and he's definitely using the public purse as advertising for himself. So he thinks that this one's a winner for him, that all the money that he's going to be spend taking this to court, every time that goes in the news, every press release that says we're challenging this, we hired this lawyer, we're doing this, we're presenting this defense, that all of these are going to be winners for him, just like Doug Ford thinks that every announcement now that he's going to make on housing going forward is going to be a winner for him. I'm not convinced on that. But you get back to Pierre Poilievre now. Now he has to take this position on whether or not he was going to fully respect the competence of the provinces, not only on what it is that you can wear when you're working, whether or not you can access a government job or certain government jobs if you are living your authentic life as someone who is devout, whether or not Quebec can use that section of the charter that apparently every province has jurisdiction over to change for themselves, to reinforce language laws in a province where French is declining. And now, whether or not premiers can take personal information belonging to a citizen, appropriate it, make it their own, and decide who, for whatever reason, they are going to share it with, usually because the person they're sharing with it needs to know. The state has decided. It's going to be very hard for him to have a blanket policy on that, on all those things, because some of those things, like maybe Quebec's right within its own province to regulate how its primary official language, given that it's declining and given culturally for hundreds of years here, thousands of years, if you go back generationally, French is a thing, legitimately recognized. You might want to leave that alone. But you might not want it to be okay for other provinces to get on the bandwagon and say, if you wear this, if you wear that, you can't work here. Or if you want to live your authentic life at school and not feel threatened, you can't ask to be treated with dignity. He might not want a universal policy. So all of a sudden he's going to have to dance why it is that he respects the competence of the provinces, because he went far out on a limb on that one. In some cases, why he doesn't in others. And again, he's going to have to do that for about 2 years. Dance, puppet. Dance, dance, dance. Parlez-vous français? So yes, kids, that's all the French stuff in sense and how it leads to, not only good relationships or bad relationships with people, but where you stand and how this dynamic changes from province to province, whether you're in a majority or a minority, and then how it applies to the Constitution, how you enforce those rights. And once you take a position on those rights, well, what other rights are you taking positions on? And this is a party
Yeah.
that's trying to get away from we're no. I'm pro-choice. Trust me, Pierre Poilievre. I'm really, really pro-choice. I will do nothing about all my majority backbench MPs who are not pro-choice at all. But I am pro-choice. I am pro-provincial rights. Or state rights. I'm pro. Yeah. I'm not sure that this is a dance that can last 2 years. It's almost very similar to Thomas Mulcair's situation when he was leader, and he had taken the position in order to shore up the Quebec base, Forteresse Quebec, as they called it, Fortress Quebec, that he would support the Sherbrooke Declaration, which declared that a vote in case of a referendum or an independence vote, 50% plus one vote would indeed be enough to trigger independence, as opposed to the Clarity Act, which says that it has to be, I think, a significant majority or something. I'm not the proper word is not significant, but it leads to an interpretation where, in this particular case, in terms for independence or secession, it might be a little higher. A threshold might be a little higher than 50% plus one vote. Well, when Tom Mulcair did that, well, yes, that might have been worked for him in Quebec, but it certainly wasn't going to sell anywhere else in the country. He couldn't campaign on that. And if he said it in French and didn't say it in English, then you get that thing that happens often in Canada. Deux langues, deux discours. Two tongues, two dialogues.
Yeah.
And then you get asked inconvenient and questions, and then you don't have an answer for them because there is no clean answer. And then you dance on one foot to another, and then you get asked more pressing questions, and then that sort of becomes the whole theme of your campaign. Why does he won't answer that question? And then so he's kind of sowing the seeds for that in his campaign, especially when it comes to respecting the competencies of provinces. And that's going to be a really, really big thing in Quebec, where he really, really, really needs votes. And the thing that's interesting about that is, as we mentioned in a previous show, he's actually has some advertising campaigns and has been putting in his rhetoric anti-bloc stuff. So when he's talking in English, he calls it the Trudeau Singh coalition or the Liberal NDP coalition. But when he's talking in French, it's the Liberal Bloc coalition. For some reason, except that, as Evan Scrimshaw pointed the other day, I don't think Pierre has accounted for how vote splits happen in Quebec, because there's some recent polling that showed that the Conservative Party is up at 25% in the province of Quebec, which is really, really high for them. But if you hammer away at the Bloc in province of Quebec, it doesn't necessarily mean that the Bloc votes are coming to you, Conservatives. The Bloc is like Quebec NDP. Very much. It tends more to the left. So on maybe like wanting to stick it to the government or whatnot, or for example, being the sections of Quebec that were pro-convoy, the whole similar movement that they had there, maybe some of those votes would bleed off to the Conservatives, but then you also have the PPC, and you have Bernier, who was actually from there, who's courting for that vote. But if you believe in left principles, like say the Conservatives convince you that the Bloc is no longer it anymore, or they convince enough people that the Bloc's not it, that they start declining, and you strategically are going to move your vote away from the Bloc in order to do something, you're probably not moving it to the Conservatives. You're probably moving it to the Liberals in that case. And for all the disastrous polling that's going around for the Liberals, the one place where they're not having a disaster at the moment is Quebec. So the Conservatives might be pursuing a strategy in Quebec right now that could lead to vote splits that would actually leave the Liberals with more seats in the province than it currently has. Like I said, I'm not sure if it's he's not thinking it through or if it's a just swing at everybody and everything all at once. So swinging at the Liberals here, swinging at the NDP here in BC, swinging at the Bloc in Quebec, like this, and depending which province that you're in, the coalition is always with the party that you're not swinging against, so that to try to direct the vote to you. But again, you can't make that your policy for 2 years. Like this one day being caught on camera in British Columbia saying, oh, those terrible NDPs, we got to keep them down like this because the Liberals are in third place over there, and then going into Quebec and say, those terrible Bloc, we have to knock them off, vote for us. But please don't vote Liberal or NDP, and then coming into Ontario and saying those, terrible Liberals, we got to knock them down, but don't vote NDP. It's when you're, depending what region in the country that you're saying you can't vote for a certain party, and that party keeps on changing. It kind of makes it hard to have a national dialogue about one political, for lack of a better word, enemy that you are taking on in order to be able to stand up for the nation. So there's going to be some stuff about his campaign that I'm watching in terms of strategically, some seeds that are being sown that are going to make things a little more complicated for him as time goes on, which may be yet another reason for which the supply and confidence agreement is going to carry, because I think both of the other party leaders know that giving him more time is probably the best avenue for a better outcome for them and not for him. I personally don't think he's able to maintain the discipline for that long.
I think you're right.
We might be surprised. All right. Mr. Grizzly, do you have something?
In a moment. Restream is misbehaving for me, so it's freezing constantly.
Okay. I will then keep going for you. In international news, this is just going to be a quick little brief here, but interesting political move on the part of Sweden. It seems because Sweden wants to join NATO, as did Finland, and Finland has been admitted, but Turkey is sort of blocking Sweden's adherence or admission or accession to NATO because Turkey believes that the government of Sweden is not cracking down hard enough on citizens of its country that are pro-Kurdistan. And of course, Erdogan considers these people to be terrorists because they're talking about these types of things, and therefore they must be dealt with. It seems that Sweden has gone on the record stating that they are more than willing to offer fighter jets to Ukraine upon NATO membership. Brave move. Let's see how it works for you. Balls in your
bold
court
move,
now,
Cotton.
Turkey, eh?
Let's see how it plays out.
Yeah. Balls in your court now, Turkey, because now you have an offer that you need to respond to, and you need to say why it is that even though a nation that wants to join is ready to give fighter planes, but you're still saying no.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting move. At that international poker table, somebody, I think, just maybe slipped somebody a few cards under the table there.
So it would seem.
Do you have anything?
I'm still trying to figure out a problem with Restream, so no is currently the response I have to give to you. My apologies. It's going sideways for some reason this morning. I don't know what's going on.
That's okay. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to chat just in case. I didn't want to dominate everything for you.
No, that's okay. It's fine. Keep rolling while I see if I can figure this out.
All right. Let's talk about the Orange Menace south of us for a little bit. it seems that his recent inflammatory attacks on potential witnesses in his upcoming trial on charges related to his bid to subvert the 2020 election have included attacks on prosecutors, on the federal district judge Chanya Chutkan, as well as key witnesses such as Mike Pence, right? He's kind of expected to be a rather key witness in this type of case, have prompted special... Pardon?
One would assume.
Yes. They have prompted special counsel Jack Smith to file a motion seeking some narrowly tailored restrictions on Donald Trump's speech and his posts. Now, Donald Trump's going all around going, oh my God, it's a gag order, it's a gag order. Well, it seems that Trump also, after all of this, kind of threatened one of the judge's clerks specifically, which was pretty much all he needed to say, yeah, we're probably going to be doing this. Now, they are trying to prohibit Trump from doing things like threatening, intimidating, harassing, or endangering witnesses, judges, prosecutors, jurors, or their respective family members. They're also seeking to prohibit Trump from saying things that are pretty transparently designed to poison all future jury pools. Yeah. Now, they're all, of course, this campaign's going, oh my God, this is going to silence him and he won't be able to campaign and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. But from the brief, they said, the prosecution may not like President Trump's entirely valid criticisms, but neither it nor this court are the filter for what the public may hear. I have a feeling that they are going to be told different. They made really ridiculous statements, almost like Judge Chutkan, you're not allowed to restrict his speech at all, like not in any way, not in the slightest. And it's like, oh really? So like not even to not intimidate me? I'm not allowed to. Over to you, counselor. Would you like to give me your arguments on why it is that your defendant is not allowed to threaten me? Oh, so I can curtail his speech then. Okay, so now that we've established that, let's determine the terms.
I have to show you something, sir. I have to show you this because you're going to be like, what? This is well, it's up to you if you want to do this. I really wouldn't recommend it because, well, if you we'll read the photograph of the screen cap on the left and then look at my response tweet on the right. So on the left, it says, Muriel Freedom Lapierre, 2251, 8 County Road, Castleman. We'll be making a Thanksgiving meal this Sunday. Bring your best smile. You are welcome. We're going to have a Thanksgiving meal this Sunday. Bring your most beautiful smile. You are welcome. Not a convite. Writes, who wants to go? I'm serious. I'll drive. And my response is, they have a single portable toilet. One. Uno. That's going to be a nasty shithole come Monday.
Yup. Yup.
One toilet.
One toilet.
One.
Yeesh.
Nobody wants to rent them one, so they'll have to purchase them.
Jeez. Jeez. That's bad.
You know they'll be screaming, it's our right to be able to. No, it's not, actually. They don't have to rent to you if they don't want to.
Oh my God.
They're not discriminating against you. They've just chosen not to rent to you. They didn't say, we're not renting to you because you're... No, we're just not going to rent to you because we don't agree with your message and we have the right to say that.
Oh my God. You know things are bad when they won't even rent you a toilet.
Yep. Right? It's like, oh boy. You've stepped in it, haven't you?
Oh man. Damn. A couple of National Truth and Reconciliation Day things for you kits. It seems that there was a group of walkers in Yukon who gathered to hold a sacred fire in Whitehorse, and they traveled 600 kilometers from Dawson City down the North Klondike Highway to the capital. The walk was seen as an act of healing and resilience, and basically it was a walk down the road that children once would have traveled when they were taken to the residential school. At the school there, researchers announced that they had found 15 anomalies, which could be potential graves. Historical documents identify an additional 13 children who had died at the school, which would bring the total number to 33 that are known about. One of the walkers said these little birdies would come and play with us on the side of the road, and we had all that same feeling from these birds, as like the children were joining us. They were with us. The walkers were welcomed in each community, and they stopped a couple of nights in Carmacks to get some, not for a couple of nights, but stopped over in Carmacks to get a little bit of rest. And Karina Yule, who was a walker, mentioned that there was a huge turnout there, just a sea of orange shirts, survivors, elders, so many children. She said it was a very powerful moment, and said that that we need to be into this for the long haul because the healing will go on for generations. So that happened. That was really great. I'm hoping that today, Mr. Grizzly, we will be able to show the video or the news story about the feast when the memorial totem pole was returned to the Niska territory. So I've sent it to you again because we have not been having sound on it the last couple of times we tried to show it. So hopefully today it will work. And then there was something else that happened. The Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador, Anthony Furey, went over to Labrador to deliver an apology to a community over there. And it was met with some controversy.
This is what I get. That's what I get.
Okay.
I can't show the video because I'm
the blocker
disabling.
thing. No,
I'm not disabling my ad blocker.
Okay, I'm not asking you to.
No. I'm just letting everybody know. That's all.
Yeah,
that's all.
So I will try it from this one again, and hopefully there will be a sound today. If not, well, we'll have to find another way somehow. And I forgot what I was talking about.
Sorry, my bad. I derailed you. I didn't mean to. I just, just one of those things. I'm trying to show this thing, and they want me to. You know what? Maybe I can. I got an idea. I have another browser I can try it in. My only concern is the browser may corrupt the system. So bear with me for a second here, and I will try it in my second browser. It's just the reason I use the browser I do is because A, it blocks the ads, but also the other aspect of it is it doesn't chew through my processor. So it doesn't require as much processing power. So therefore, this computer runs smoother and it doesn't get choppy or broken up or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Oh yes. Sorry. Yes. Labrador. So yes. The Premier went there to deliver an apology to residential school survivors in Newfoundland and Labrador. He went to Labrador to a town called Cartwright on the southern coast to speak to the Nunatukkavut people on behalf of the provincial government. He said, "Today, with a heavy heart, I respectfully and humbly offer an apology to the students of Nunatukkavut who attended residential schools in Newfoundland and Labrador. As Premier and on behalf of the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, I extend this apology to the students, their families, and to the people of Nunatukkavut. We are sorry." He was joined by Indigenous Affairs Minister Lisa Dempster and Community Council President, Nunatukkavut Community Council President Todd Russell, the day before National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. and it was to deliver on an apology that was promised by the Premier Dwight Ball in 2017. So the apology was promised in 2017. 6 years later, finally gets delivered. I do not know what on earth can make somebody say, yes, we'll give you an apology, just wait 6 years. And that's considered acceptable. Fury said, we have a responsibility to acknowledge the past. When we look back at what former students endured, we commend them for coming forward, for continuing to share their stories. Their bravery and resilience are a strength to us all. Therefore, we make the solemn pledge that history is not forgotten and must not be repeated. Now, it seems that while it was important... Pardon?
I've got it.
Okay.
I've got the video.
Cool. While it was important to do that, that it came with some controversy because there are two other groups who sense that they should have been given apologies first. The Nunatsiavut government and the Innu Nation took exception to the apology. Now, Fury, and also they say because the other group isn't necessarily a recognized group as well, and they are. The Nunatu-Kavut Community Council does not hold federal treaty rights, whereas they do. And so they consider this to be an insult. Now, the Premier says that it was a timing and scheduling thing that made it so that this one came first.
6 years?
Right.
Timing is good for 6 years? Like, that's like, I'm just going out for a pack of smokes at the corner store. I'll be right back. Thanks, Dad. You know, how many times have you heard that story from people, right? So, 6 years, really.
Right. So
that's the lamest excuse I've ever heard in my life.
So the Nunatsiavut government made a public plea for the resignation of Indigenous Affairs Minister Lisa Dempster to either be resigned or fired. And that they were joined by the Innu Nation for that request as well. Innu Nation Grand Chief Simon, I'm guessing Pokue, because I'm reading it and I haven't heard it, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, said, if Premier Fury or his government truly believes in reconciliation for Indigenous peoples, they must begin to reconcile the harm to the true Inuit and Innu of Labrador by removing Lisa Dempster from her portfolio immediately. Nunatsiavut President Johannes Lampe said on Wednesday, an apology to an unrecognized Indigenous group in advance of National Day for Truth and Reconciliation is an insult to survivors and to Labrador Inuit. It's quite egregious, Nunatukovut President Todd Russell said on Thursday. The remarks are misleading, some border on lies and mistruths. They do not reflect history. They do not reflect reality. In my estimation, this is nothing short of crass politics and plain politics, baseless politics, harmful politics with the lives of our people. There's the dispute between recognized Inuit groups and Nunatu-Kavut goes back to at least 1991 when a group called the Labrador Métis Nation filed a land claim with the federal government. The claim was rejected both by the provincial and federal governments, but it became active again in 2010 when the group renamed itself the Nunatu-Kavut Community Council. The council signed a memorandum of understanding with the federal government in 2019, laying the foundation for a path to self-governance. So the claim is in the works, I would say, but hasn't been finalized yet. That apparently angered the Nunatsiavut government and the Innu Nation. Both groups went to the federal court to block the agreements for moving forward. Neither believes that the Nunatu-Kavut is an Indigenous collective. So Fury says that all of the other apologies are coming, but he goes, someone has to take the first step. This was a matter of timing and availability, and we hope we can continue the good working relationship we have with the Nunatsiavut government and the Innu towards recognizing their apologies as well. Thing is that all of this, right, has to do with doing what you think is right for the other people without consulting other people and asking them what they think is right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, he rushes. I mean, it's hard to say that he rushes this because it took all this time. But if you talk to all the groups and you were serious about making this apology, you would know that there are 2 groups out of the 3 for whom it is specifically important, given that they are recognized, that this would have come first. And you wouldn't have let something like scheduling, availability, and timing for you, the white man, being the deciding factor on who gets the apology first. So while you're saying that you're trying to change your ways, or you're apologizing for the old ways you did it, using the old ways, you determined for you in a manner that was most convenient for you and most practical for you how you would do this thing that is not for you.
It's pretty bad. It's really bad. The optics are as bad as it can get. Bad. Like, really? Like, well, we had scheduling for 6 frickin' years? Give me a break.
Premier Fury. No, girl. Just
Dude.
No.
Dude.
No, just no.
I've got the video if you want me to.
Let's have some celebration. Celebration.
This is a momentous occasion for Niska Nation and beyond.
And it marks the beginning of true reconciliation when it comes to bringing our ancestors home.
For day school survivor President Eva Clayton, the long-awaited return of a sacred totem pole to the lands on which it was carved from red cedar is as exciting as it is emotional.
For me, it's validating what had happened, and the return of this pole is incredible.
We hope that it is also inspiring and giving colonial institutions just further support in terms of doing the right thing.
Dr. Amy Parent first found out it was in Scotland 4 years ago. She says her ancestral grandmother had the 11-meter memorial pole carved in honor of a warrior who was destined to become chief before being killed protecting his nation.
It's been nearly 100 years since the totem pole was stolen from us by colonial ethnographer Marius Barbeau.
My heart is so happy to be here with you.
Honoring the nation's matrilineal society, they call it a rematriation. Considered to have a living spirit, the totem pole is like a relative returning home. Dr. Parent was among the delegation to Scotland last year, who, after 3 months of negotiation, successfully secured the return. The pole traveled on a Canadian military strategic airlift aircraft from Scotland to Terrace, BC, and then transported by road to the Niska Museum in the community of Lackalzap. Some 1,000 people are participating in a ceremony and feast tonight, including community members, federal and provincial politicians, and representatives from the Museum of Scotland, as they celebrate the completion of a journey nearly a century in the making. Neetu Garsha, Global News, Niska Nation.
Wow. I can't even begin to imagine. I mean, really, what it must have been like to have your culture stolen from you. It's not something I will ever be able to understand. Ever. I mean, that really hit me hard. It's like you're having the things that are so. Let's say somebody just, hey, for argument's sake, suddenly the aliens land and decide that all the things that white people hold sacred, they're taking back to their planet with them. Oh, and they're going to round us up and make us live in small lands somewhere. How would that make you feel? When everything you hold sacred, white Christian, no more Christmas, no more Easter. You don't get to do those things anymore. No, we're taking those from you. That's it. It's done. Forget it. How would that make you feel? The things that you hold sacred, the things that you have identified with culturally. It's a bit of a stretch there, but all of a sudden, all that is stripped from you, and you are forced to live in another part of the world, a part of the world that you are unfamiliar with, on lands you don't know. Like that hits me really hard, man. It's like I can't begin to imagine the feeling of struggle so many people have felt in this country by having their culture robbed of them. And again, with the residential school program, we know what that was all about. To strip them of everything that they identified with, their language, their culture, their clothing, their hair, everything that they held sacred, everything that they knew, and thousands of years of culture robbed by people who look like me. And I mean, I doubt very much that would ever happen to people who look like me. But can you imagine the feeling of relief to get something back that was sacred to you, that your ancestral grandparent had, for want of a better term, commissioned to honor somebody in your community, and somebody decided, I like that, I'm taking it with me. I just, it's mind-blowing to me, because I cannot fathom the emotions that one must feel in a situation such as that. I can't.
Yeah.
And I'll never be able to fully understand it, right? Unless, like I said, to put yourself in that scenario.
Well, it's almost, maybe it was, but I get the impression that the totem pole was celebrated like a long lost returning family member.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Not as an object, but an actual member of the family.
Elaine's comment here. Chris Sky insists that white is a culture and that it's under attack. Okay, it's not a culture, and it's not under attack. It's not a culture. People say, was it Tizient who, when I first encountered him online, he made a comment about how, somebody says, why can't I have white pride? Because white is not a culture. Well, what's black pride? Well, you see, these are people who had their culture robbed of them. They were rounded up and put in the belly of ships and brought to a new world. They were stripped of all of their rights. They were stripped of their names, all of their culture. You have millions of people who live in the United States of America who have no idea what their full cultural roots or background is. So that's why black pride is a thing. It's because they don't have any other culture to identify with. White is not a culture. No one has robbed us of anything. And that's it in a nutshell. So when Chris Sky, that coked out idiot, says that, I really want to just grab him by the throat, sit him down, and scream in his face, you're full of shit. Stop spinning lies. And if you actually believe this garbage, I need to teach you some lessons. Because white is not a culture. It's a skin color. Mm-hmm. That's it. And oh, by the way, I'm kind of more pink than white, honestly. I mean, really.
I like your...
Just look at that. There's not a big contrast.
I like your touch of rose.
Thank you. Because this hat is white, and my skin looks more like my shirt. Just saying. Saying.
Yeah. You have Linda M that asked in the chat, have you guys been watching Bones of Crows? It's all I can do to get through an episode. I told you.
Yeah, I'm about to start watching it. I put it on the other day, and I kind of went, oh no, I'm not in the. I'm in a. I've been in a dark place, so I don't think it's something that I should be watching when my headspace is where it is, because of the fact that it might just drive me deeper down the dark tunnel of depression, and I don't need that right now. So right now I'm trying to watch as much stand-up comedy as possible to make me laugh, because laughter is very good medicine for the heart, mind, and soul. So yeah, that's why I haven't been able to watch it yet. I know it's there. I see it on CBC Gem, and I'm going to watch it, but I can't right now because my mental health needs to be taken care of first.
Yeah. I spotted it the other day. I had no idea it was already on CBC Gem because I just saw it at the movie theater. Was it, 3 months ago? Maybe about. It is worth it. It's a tough watch, but it's worth it. So
Well, and
I'm glad you
apparently
mentioned it because I forgot that I wanted to bring it to the attention of the kids that it was now on CBC Gem. So
there's a
thank you,
new
Kitland M.
there's a new film in theaters that I think it gets released this weekend. I could be wrong on the date. It's from Scorsese, and it's what is the name of it now? Darn it! Give me a second. I'll look it up here. I can't remember the title of the film, but I read a review of it, and apparently this film, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Okay. Haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, Lily
Oh, no, I
Gladstone,
did see.
Jesse
Yes, I have seen the
Plemons,
trailer.
Brendan Fraser, Killers of the Flower Moon. Martin Scorsese's is a 2023 American epic Western crime drama film directed and produced by Scorsese, who co-wrote the screenplay based on the 2017 book of the same name by David Gran. Its plot centers on a series of Oklahoma murders in the Osage Nation during the 1920s, committed after oil was discovered on tribal land. The reviews I've read of this are like it's gonna blow your mind. It's gonna blow your mind, and it's gonna rip your heart out. And I might have to wait a little while before I can watch that film. I want to go see it in the theater, but it might be a little while before I can go and see that.
Yeah,
because mental health first, right?
Yes. Big thing in the news yesterday, Kits, and was the announcement as to what was going to happen with initial plans to tackle food costs on behalf of the grocers. Remember that when the House came back from the summer, the Prime Minister held a big press conference. And at that time, he had unveiled measures for housing, but also that there were going to be some measures for food, as Mr. Grizzly had mentioned previously, that Pierre Poilievre, for some reason, decided to misinterpret as the whole situation would be solved by Thanksgiving.
Misinterpret,
which
that's
was
a polite way to say it.
Yes. Reinterpret. Creatively reinterpret.
Right, lied about it.
Yes. Now, this was a clip I wanted to show you from the initial press conference that we didn't have time for on that day, but I knew the subject would come back and there would be an opportunity. So, Mr. Grizzly, if you would, please.
Sure thing.
Aider les gens qui se retrouvent sans abri.
Next question.
Dylan Robertson of the Canadian Press. On the grocery pledge, we know that various levels of the supply chain form a huge part of grocery prices. So why are you not including suppliers, manufacturers, and transporters in these price stabilization measures?
Well, part of why we're calling on the heads of the large grocery chains is that they have the best view of the different aspects that are going into the grocery supply chain, and working with them and ensuring that they put forward a concrete plan that's going to help Canadians is actually a way of drawing in the people who know the most about it to focus on helping Canadians. But on that, I'm happy to turn to the minister who's going to be leading this charge, who's already been in touch very closely with a number of the heads of the large grocery chains, François-Philippe Champagne, our Minister of Science, Innovation and Industry.
Merci. Thank you. Well, I think what the Prime Minister is saying and what to them is enough is enough. It's always a good time to fight for Canadians. It's always a good time to fight for lower prices. We're going to start next week, by the way. So this is something that is happening right now. As the Prime Minister said, we're going to start with the 5 largest grocers in Canada. They represent about 80% of the market. And we're going to be in solution mode with very clear deadline and very clear outcome for Canadians. And together, we're going to look also at large food processors. You have to see what's being done, for example, in France with Carrefour. I've been looking at their model, looking at what they've been doing. And certainly, we're going to be looking at international experience, our G7 partners. But I think you see the sentiment is that Canadians expect us to take decisive action. And this is actually going to help to lower price inflation you see in Canada, and we'll have more to say after the meeting next week with the CEOs.
All right. I wanted to bring it in because it was another instance in that same press conference where the Prime Minister handed the reins to one of his ministers. That's new strategy that I kind of noticed, that he's putting himself less up front and putting more of the team up front. So that was there. And of course, François-Philippe Champagne is considered one of the contenders if there were a leadership race to replace him, because he's had a lot of high profile files and he's pretty much an Energizer bunny, and kind of a political animal, kind of built for this kind of thing. So people wouldn't be surprised. Everybody assumes that he has greater ambitions. So they got back to us yesterday with some ideas of things that they would do. They had about a 5-point plan that had certain activities or things that they committed to. So, for example, some price freezes on certain things, creating a whole sort of basket and trying to create a base price. It was kind of hard because they were talking about stuff, but nothing was really very highly developed. It's almost like it was a broader outline of a plan, even though it seems that they would have to have more than that to go on if they're going to be starting it, if things are going to start happening, or you're supposed to start seeing some of the changes around Thanksgiving. But price matching, that type of stuff. Also announced that there will probably be some review of the competition board, that type of thing. So it's not. There was an introduction of some targeted legislative amendments to the Competition Act in late September, on September 21st. That would start with that, and that's going to work its way through the system as well. But how would I put it? All of this is voluntary, right? So, for example, the aggressive discount across a basket of key food products that would represent the most important purchases for most households. People are wondering, okay, yeah, maybe that, but will that be accompanied with a price hike on, let's say, dishwashing detergent? Which is also something that you need, right? But so they don't know. Even if you go there and you see, okay, milk is less expensive, or eggs are less expensive, or this is less expensive this week, is there something else that's happening somewhere else? So it's going to be hard to do that. When they say plans are still in work to establish a grocery code of conduct to support fairness and transparency, to create a new food price data hub to allow better access to information about the price of food in Canada. Okay, data hub might let you know where prices are lowered highest, but it doesn't necessarily lower prices unless there's some pressure to happen. And given that you have 5 major grocery chains, and we had the whole bread price fixing thing. So, we know that they can, I don't know, you hope it's not political theater, but a lot of this looks like it could be political theater, to be completely honest.
It really does. It really does. Are they going to be able to do a damn thing about it? I don't think so.
Well,
honestly, I really don't.
There was a commentator that I heard, and I didn't note the person's name, but he was making a comment that this could just be a timing thing. Given that food inflation has dropped from about 9.1% to 6.5% at the moment, and that a lot of these things have pretty much worked their way through the system, the expectation is that food inflation rate will keep decreasing. And if that's the case, we're expecting that some people are expecting prices of gas to start decreasing as well, because there was a 6% drop in the price in the United States a couple of days ago, and the price of oil has started to come back down as well. But when you put all those things together, that it's going down naturally on its own. So this, coupled with a couple of measures, may bring more attention to what's going on anyway, and it's probably one of the reasons why the grocers were a little more inclined to be all in on some type of plan, because they get some added PR benefit for something that's already happening anyway. as prices are
Right.
going down. So it may just be, let's take a natural event and put a frame around it and make it look like we're doing something type of announcement. But I'm sure you're going to have to see something like, you're going to be seeing some stickers or something like that, or some announcements like that Loblaws announcement that happened where Galen was saying that he was freezing prices on certain things for 6 months or something. You'll probably see some things like that, or big colorful stickers, price rollback or something. They're going to be doing something to make it somewhat obvious that you're seeing this, because it's in their interest for them to be, in the PR game, as they say, sometimes it's not good enough to do the thing. You have to be doing the thing, and you have to be seen doing the thing.
Yes.
So, for example, when Christian Freeland went to a homeless shelter at Thanksgiving or Christmas to help serve food, right? We made the comment, well, you're doing it. Well, if you showed up for 1 hour and got the photo op and left, that's one thing. If you actually stayed for a whole shift, that's another thing. But you are always going to get, if you're the finance minister, going to help serve food at a food bank for Christmas or Thanksgiving. You are inviting as you say, food banks are a failure of society. You shouldn't be here because this place should not exist.
That's the truth.
Or
really shouldn't.
Look at her posing again. Look at her virtue signaling again. Look at her, she's only come and done one shift like this. Some people, but the people are homeless every day of their life, or that type of thing, right? So you always have to be careful, PR-wise, when you're seen doing the thing, because you don't want to give the impression that you're doing the thing for the points. But if people don't see you doing the thing, how do they know you've done the thing?
Yeah, it's complicated.
Right? So, but that's the thing. But sometimes in PR, you get a happy circumstance of not having to do the thing and yet still being seen as having done the thing. That can be good or bad. Like, for example, as we saw recently, the Prime Minister's office had absolutely nothing to do with that invitation. But nobody sees the process of invitation. So all it takes is somebody to say, well, I don't believe it. There's no way it can't possibly be. And now you have been seen doing the thing, or you were seen as having done the thing that you had nothing to do with. And then vice versa. You happen to be standing there as something really good happens, and somebody walks by and says, oh my God, you did that. How great. And you just decide not to say anything.
Yeah,
I had nothing to do with it, but nobody saw I had nothing to do with it. And if you want to give me credit for it, okay.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, I hear. Yeah, I know.
So
it's
Hey, so this could be one of those situations. We got the economic data. We see the trend. It's going down. It's still going to be going down. And about a year from now, that doesn't mean prices are going to go down, right? It's the inflation rate. Remember?
Yes.
So, and as people are saying, well, stabilized prices at these prices don't help us much. I mean, it doesn't make things worse, but it doesn't help us much either, right? It's like you either have to give us more money or you're going to have to start lowering some prices, because just stabilizing them doesn't help either. So we'll have to see what's going on. But so far, they said that they were going to have this meeting with them. They did. They said they were going to introduce changes to the Competition Act. They have. They're not passed yet, but they've been tabled. They're introduced. They said that they were going to come back with some type of plan before Thanksgiving. They have some type of plan. A little late on the details, but we'll see how it rolls out. But they seem to be following through. How much meat there is on this bone, yet to be seen. We don't know if we're making soup stock or if we're going to actually need a toothpick to get something stringy out from between our teeth on this one.
Time will tell.
But hey, there's movement, there's action, and it doesn't look like the government is allowing the thing with India or the thing with having invited a former member of the SS Waffen Galician 14, I think it is. unit to sit in the speakers gallery. It seems that they're just putting their heads down. They're trying to deal with that. It also seems that those two issues haven't really been affecting them too much in the polls. People have pretty much accepted that the thing with Hunka was a unfortunate but terrible mistake, and that enough mopping up has been done. And with India, the more that comes out about that, the more ridiculous it's starting to look.
Well, it's just getting worse all the time, right?
Well, the thing from the India side, right, is now like what they've given us to a certain time to expel like 41 diplomats or something of that. And it's just the level of the response is so disproportionate that it's becoming cartoonish. And it seems that there might be a reason for that. And the reason for that is that it seems the UK might be wondering if the same thing happened on their territory, because it seems that 3 days before Hardeep Singh Nijjar was assassinated here, somebody who was an advocate for Khalistan in the UK, who worked for the Punjabi, I think, broadcasting company, which is based in Birmingham, one day around June 11th or so that, got very, 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 very sick, and 4 days later was dead.
How peculiar.
Almost like plutonium T style or something. Said that his blood started clotting and was some type of leukemia type thing, they declared. And 4 days later, he was dead. And those 4 days later, he was dead was exactly 3 days before Hardeep Singh Nijjar was assassinated here. Coincidence?
I don't think so.
So it could very be that the current government of India, which has a hand in the press, has a press that responds to its demands much in the way that conservatives like to pretend the press responds to liberal demands here.
That's a good way to put it.
Let's just put it that way.
What I found interesting was Laurie Goldstein made a comment to somebody when that Trudeau's plane was filled with cocaine, and Laurie Goldstein was, do you have any idea how the media in India works? Like, Laurie Goldstein was coming at it, and I have my issues with that man, but every now and then he will come out and go, hold on a second here, you're being if you believe this, you're an idiot. Is effectively what he was saying. Is it Stein or Steen?
Pardon?
Goldstein. It's Goldstein, right?
I always say Goldstein, but I could be wrong.
Stein, so yeah, I've always said Goldstein too, but I don't know if that's correct. So if Laurie, if you ever see this show and I've mispronounced your name, I apologize. Even though I've told you on your Twitter that I think you're a dick sometimes, but I apologize if I screwed up your name. I don't mean to do that.
I want to get your name right when I call you a dick.
Exactly.
I knew that. I was waiting for you to say it. Just give that little pause and darn. All right.
If I'm going to insult you, I want to at least get your name right.
So it appears that the reason potentially for the all-out blitz and highly disproportionate, almost hysterical, there's drugs on the plane, reaction is because they have maybe done it in more than one country, and everybody else is now aware too, or starting to connect the dots.
Deflect. Wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off. That's all it is. That's all it is.
The thing with India, you have to remember that G20 meeting was very important to it, particularly since, Modi's going into an election December, but also because, they're trying to take their place at the lead table, right? Again, if we talk about the international poker tables at which everyone's cheating, at the head table. So they're new to the head table game. So, they have their security agency and whatnot, just like Israel has theirs. And sometimes Israel, they have a little screw up, like when they took out a couple of people in New Zealand, and the government of New Zealand decided that they needed to have a little talk. So did the other 4 4 of the 5 eyes. And I said, yeah, Israel, let's have a little talk. So it might be that a couple of near peer nations, there's India, if you want to sit at this table, there are certain things that you can't do, or if you're going to do them, you have to be way less sloppy.
If India was to play their cards right and get their house in order, they could become the next superpower. And I say this because if you look at where China was in 1978 versus where China is today, in 1978, even the biggest cities were pretty, well, their infrastructure for transportation, public transit, cars, it was almost non-existent. Give you an example, Shenzhen, right? Shenzhen, which is just outside of Hong Kong, which is the largest electronics manufacturing district in all of China. Shenzhen in 1978 was a fishing village of 1,800 people. It is now a city of 18 million, is one of the most advanced cities on Earth, technologically speaking. It is probably the closest thing we can find to Wakanda on planet Earth, and I'm not joking when I say that. They used all the latest, greatest state-of-the-art technology to the point where their new factories are being fully automated. You'll have 4 people in a factory. All of your electronics, like stuff like this, will be made completely by bots and AI. Now, the AI is well-controlled AI because it's just allowed to make phones and, but it runs the bots. And I've already seen, watching some specials on television about how this happens. So I'm like, 1978 to now, 1,800 people to 18 million, the most advanced city, technologically speaking, on Earth, with some of the world's tallest buildings, too, by the way. Incredible public transit infrastructure. And Shenzhen almost is like this special economic zone that Hong Kong is. And the rules and regulations in Shenzhen are very different than the rest of mainland China. And I know this from friends of mine who have gone there and said, it's different here.
Yep.
It's a very liberal and open-minded society in Shenzhen, unlike other areas of China. But China is changing. Now, watch what happens if India decides to say, you know what? Let's buckle down. Let's invest in our infrastructure. Let's clean up our cities. Let's do the thing we need to do to become the next superpower. They have a bigger population than China. They overtook them this year. And China's beginning to regret their one-child per family policy because they have an aging population and nobody to replace it. And it's not like a lot of people immigrate to China, right? You don't get a lot of immigration in China. You have expats who are there, which I know expats are technically immigrants, but they're only there for a short time period while they get their companies up and running.
Right.
They don't stay and live and die there. They live there for a year or 2, maybe 3 years. They'll travel, of course, because why not? You're in that part of the world. That's what you would do. But you do need to understand that most of them end up coming back to whatever country they originally hailed from, whether it's Europe or North America or even South America for that matter. So you see China doesn't have a large immigrant population. It has a very, 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 very tiny one. India doesn't have a large immigrant population, but it doesn't need one.
Yeah.
It doesn't need one. When I was a kid, India was, I think, and I remember reading this in the paper, they were 500 million people when I was a kid, when I was a child. And I couldn't fathom that number, 500 million. Well, now it's 1.5 billion. So just, it's tripled its population in like my lifetime.
Yep.
And it just continues to grow because they don't have that one child per family policy. But there is another problem that they do have in India, though, and this is very true, is they have in Mumbai, for example, there are more ultrasound clinics than, not even per capita, just period, in Mumbai than any other place on Earth. And the reason that is women will go in, get the ultrasound, discover that it's a female instead of a male, and will often abort. There is a serious glut of females in the population base in India. It's something that they've been talking about and worried about for years. So they've been working to change the mentality around the dowry and that, because if you don't have women, you can't make more men.
Right. Right.
You can't make more people if you don't have any women. Okay. Even if you do artificial insemination, you still need women.
Yes.
Because we're not able to do birthing pods yet, folks. We're years away from that. Like 30 or 40, maybe 50 years away from that. And who wants to do that anyway?
Yeah, really.
Well, maybe somebody would. Maybe somebody would. I don't know. But what I'm getting at is India can be a superpower if they can get organized. And it's slowly happening. There's a large growing middle class in India. There are communities and suburbs in India that would look like you're in downtown Toronto. Not downtown Toronto, but suburban Toronto. Look like you're in Markham or Brampton or any other suburban bedroom community. I've seen them. It's like, who was the developer? Oh, that was a Canadian company that came over and built all these houses in these neighborhoods. It looks like suburban Canada. So they can be the next superpower. And if there's a will, they will find a way. And trust me when I say this, people in India work their butts off. They're not afraid of hard work. They work hard. They do.
Yep.
And anybody knows anybody who, like I have a lot of friends whose parents immigrated here in the 70s, and their parents would work 3 jobs to, so their kids could get the education and the life that they came here to provide for their children. And the kids have that same work ethic built in.
Yeah.
Like, when was the last time you met somebody who was Indian who didn't have a really good job that they worked their butt off at?
Indeed.
I mean that, and I hope that didn't come off as racist, because that's not what I'm getting at. I'm talking about the culture. The culture is work hard and succeed. It's just ingrained in the culture, and it always has been.
Yeah.
So you watch and see within our lifetime, they will be a superpower if they can get their stuff together, and if you can get rid of some of the underhandedness that Modi is openly doing. When they say it's the world's largest democracy, it's kind of like, well, but is it
not as
really?
much? Yeah. Yep. Indeed. So, at least with all of this, the person who was suspected to be assassinated in the UK, their name is Avtar Singh Kanda, and it looks like the coroner's office is deciding whether or not all these new questions mean that there should be a second look into his death. There's a lawyer named Michael Pollock who's representing his family, who has asked for a formal inquiry. I am sure that's the last thing India wants at the moment. But that would be 2 nations now if they go ahead with it. Well, first of all, if the coroner's looking it up again, that would be one thing. But we've just announced an inquiry into election interference, and it's not going to cover just China. And we happen to have a leader of one of our opposition parties who is Sikh, who can speak to this issue. And now we have in the UK a situation where someone's asking for formal inquiry, and if one is granted, where there would be another one going on. And so I would not be surprised, as Kit Linda M sort of indicated, that our Five Eyes allies are also having lots of very interesting conversations with the government of India to try to see if there's a elegant way out of this for all of us, and maybe some base ground rules on how we deal with such situations in the future.
Well, I remember seeing a billboard when I was in Delhi a few years ago in 2019, and I was in, I can't remember the name of the shopping district. It's a big giant rotunda, and it's like concentric circles, and inside there are multiple shops and brew pubs, and inside, anyway, awesome little spot. And as we're driving there in Rajesh's, people call them tuk-tuks, but they're not actually tuk-tuks in India. In India, they are, what do you call them? When they used to have these in the Byward Market, you jump in it, and Thank you. Rickshaw. Okay. So they're rickshaws, motorized rickshaws. We call them tuk-tuks in other parts of the world, but in India, they're rickshaws. So as we're driving there in the rickshaw, I turn and I look and I see this gigantic billboard. 4 flights a day, Delhi to Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what that's like right now.
Mm.
Right?
Especially with the visa
like
thing.
I wonder. Yeah. It's like, I wonder. That's interesting. What's going on?
Do we have a little bit more time, Mr. Grizzly?
Yeah, and I've got a video clip here from the. See if I can load it up. I guess this is part of the convoy Save the Children thing or whatever it is.
Did you just say shave the children?
Shave the children. Yeah, shave them. Shave them good. Shave them good. They all got lice. Shave them good. Shave the children. Yeah, shave the children. Yeah. This is, I guess this is Elaine sent it. Did Elaine send this to me? Yeah, Elaine sent this to me a few minutes ago. Took me a minute to locate it and get it up. But here it is. This is a video from, I guess it's, this is Chris Dacey. I'm not sure who this is. Let's have a look at this, though, shall we? This should be funny. If I can get it to play. Come on.
Hey, Dacey here. Have a quick update about the events that happened a couple of days ago. So as many of you may know, there was some incidents with protesters and arrests from Ottawa police. There were 3 arrests made 2 days ago. Well, yesterday there was an additional arrest made stemming from those events. Carl Grant was arrested yesterday afternoon. He was picked up by Ottawa police and charged with obstruct. He was taken out of the area and then later released. And he is now banned 500 meters from that area. So he was charged with an incident that Crystal Peters got arrested. In that video, you can see Carl get kind of taken down by police. So from what happened there, police decided to come in and charge him yesterday. Additionally to that, we have a few concerns. Brian Dirksen was in court yesterday. He was in court in the afternoon, and then none of us had heard from him since. We went by to check on him or try to check on him, found his bicycle outside the court. So as far as we can tell, Brian must be in custody. No one's heard from him yet, but we think that he is in police custody. So we're going to try to get to the bottom of that today, find out what the charges are or what's going on with Brian. So that's the update for now. When I have more, I will let you know.
So I think this Brian Dirksen fella was the trucker that never left, apparently.
Okay. Oh.
And I guess he's been formally charged by the sounds of it. Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Don't know. Honestly, I really don't care. I really don't care.
Jeez, wow. Okay. In other news, the Nobel Prize for Literature was awarded yesterday, and unfortunately, it did not go to Margaret Atwood. It did go, however, to Norwegian author and dramatist Jan Fosse. Won the prize, quote, for his innovative plays and prose which give voice to the unsayable. He's 64. He's received critical acclaim in the past. His 2021 novel, A New Name, Septology, 5, 6 through 7 was on the Booker Prize shortlist a year later and was a finalist for the 2023 National Book Critics Circle Award. He's the 4th Norwegian writer to be honored in the category, but the first in nearly a century. The most recent Norwegian winner was Sigrid Undset back in 1928. He says that he is overwhelmed by the honor and somewhat frightened. I see this as an award to the literature that first and foremost aims to be literature without other considerations, he said in a statement. I like that. That's a nice statement itself. That's very, very classy. The Academy said Foss, probably not Foss, because Fosse's the choreographer. Foss blends a rootedness in the language and nature of his Norwegian background with artistic techniques in the wake of modernism. And that is part of the reason for which he won. So there you go. So not Margaret Atwood this year, but I've never read any of his works, I must admit, but I'm sure a very worthy winner. Nonetheless, I'm sure the fact that I haven't read him is not what makes him worthy or unworthy.
No, of course not. Oprah's book club, is that what you're doing? You're doing an Oprah's book club? If I read it, it's worthwhile. If I don't read it, it's not worthwhile. What?
Yeah, still haven't even gotten through the whole Archie series of comic books yet. Well, let me crawl before I run. The last little bit of news I want to bring to you, kids, has to do with housing. It seems that the CMHC has determined that housing starts in Canada have increased only a little bit, by about 1% overall. They have increased a lot in Vancouver and in Toronto, specifically purpose-built housing and co-op housing. But in Montreal, for some reason, there's been a decline in starts year over year. There's been about a 60% decline in starts, which is the highest ever recorded, I think, like since the 1920s. So something's happening in Montreal. It's being blamed on the cost of materials, and then with the cost of interest rates. That have slowed projects in Vancouver and Toronto. They're saying that it's a lot of projects that were approved maybe 2 years ago that are getting shovels in the ground now, and that's why the starts are going up. There's also another situation as a result of the increasing interest rates, which is called negative amortization. So what happens, there's a story being told on CBC about a man who's making payments on his mortgage at the moment right now, where only $23 of it is going to capital and $1,033 is going to interest. So out of $1,056 payment.
Wow.
Over the course of the increase in these interest rates, his amortization period has increased from 25 years to 47 years. And he is worried that soon he will get into negative amortization. And negative amortization means that you are making your mortgage payments, but it's pretty much all going to interest, and it's not covering the interest, which means that your debt is increasing. Already, apparently, according to the CMHC, 1 in 5 mortgages at TD, CIBC, and BMO for worth of $128 billion in mortgages are already in negative amortization.
Wow.
Yeah. RBC doesn't do negative amortization, but they say they have a growing percentage of their own loans that are over the 25-year or 25-year amortization period, which I think was the basic one, the standard one. It's alarming.
Yes, it is.
Situation. I think it was, according to RBC, nearly a quarter of its residential loans have repayment periods more than 30 years overall. So when you add those ones, in addition,
it's not
150
it's all bad.
of mortgages that have had their amortization extended.
Yeah, that's really bad.
And then 1 in 5, 20% at the other banks are negative amortization. That's going to blow up at some point.
Speaking of blowing up,
okay,
I've got something for you. In more convoy news, this is in Phelpston, which is north of Barrie. It's a small farming community about 20 kilometers north of Barrie. Seems that they're having issues there. Are there any handymen on my friends list in the Phelpston area? We were turned down for porta potty rentals because we like freedom. We have made bathrooms and tents, but it would be great if someone could build us an outhouse. So all of these Freedom Convoy camps are literally full of shit.
Oh, God. Well, the thing is, again, we got denied porta potties because we like freedom.
Freedom?
No.
No.
That's not why you were denied porta potties. Just like that lady Jo was not arrested because she got on her knees and put her hands up, or because she was standing. She took a picture with the peace sign. It's what you did before those things. It's all the stuff you did before you asked people to rent you porta potties.
Yes, exactly. Key and vexed every time he says, "I've just been arrested," as he walks away with his hands behind his back, but he's got no cuffs.
Yes. You're not arrested for your beliefs. You're not tried for your beliefs. You're arrested and you are tried for choices that you make with regards to behavior you are going to engage in furtherance of those beliefs. You're allowed to believe horrible things. You're allowed to believe stupid things. You're allowed to say horrible things and stupid things, so long as you're not inciting violence or extermination of a group.
Yeah,
you're allowed.
exactly.
But if you choose to pose an action to either spread your belief, share your belief, to further your belief, to take action on your belief, to make your belief come true, and that action happens to violate our criminal code or our civil code, you will be charged. Just like everybody else.
Simple.
Consequences
That's how it works.
are for actions, not beliefs.
No. Well, they're taking our freedom away because they won't rent us a porta potty. Can you give me a basic civics lesson?
Again, right?
Yeah, exasperated all the damn time. I'm going to make that a t-shirt. I'm exasperated all the damn time. A little TNEB logo right here. A little circle.
All the damn time. All right. We tried playing this a couple of times and it did not work. So, Mr. Grizzly, I am going to send this to you because this was a really lovely, lovely moment at the end of Mr. Canoe's acceptance speech. And I know that Cassie in particular, kid Cassie, because on the first day we showed, oh, you didn't show this. And it's like, yes, we did. We were guilty as charged. And then yesterday we tried and yes, saw a glimpse of the image and you went, oh, it's going to be like this. And the tech didn't work. So today, we might be seeing the Premier of Manitoba being a very, 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 very good boy. Because you got to mind your mama.
Here. This stupid thing, it's YouTube is being uncooperative. There we go. Okay. Now I got that. I got that. It just can be really scronkly some days. And it was being scronkly. So let me get it.
You got to mind your mama. And
for you. And here we go.
We could do worse than vote for a mama's boy.
Yeah. Here it is.
Oh, wait. There's just one more thing. Just one more thing. This is my mom. Today is her birthday. And her name is Kathy. Okay, her name is Kathy. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kathy. Happy birthday to you.
He's
now,
such a
is
good
that his
boy.
oldest son? Is
On
that
the
his
right?
oldest son on his immediate left?
On his
Wob's
left, yeah. I don't know actually. I would assume, but I don't know.
I think it is. I could be wrong though, but good-looking kid. I'll tell you what, right there. That's a good-looking young man.
Yes, he is. Yep, fine young man.
I'm jealous of his hair.
Yes, he's got nice hair. But what a good boy. What a good boy. He loves his mama. The eager beaver is a sucker for good boys who love their mamas.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Shall we wrap, sir?
Yes. I was just about to ask you that if we had a show.
All right. We're good. We're solid here.
Kids, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we really, 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 really love making this for you. Remember that sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. You have the mouths from whom we want the word to emerge. So please, please, please spread it far and wide. Let all the masses know about the wonders of the Beaver Lodge. And because democracy is something that you do, write your MPs, your MLAs, your MPPs, your senators, your media, and let them know that you demand better. And of course, if you've got a couple of loonies that are spare in your pocket, why don't we put them in the Red Cross's piggy bank to help out our brothers and sisters who may be going through some tough times. If you would like to not miss an episode, well, then you go to the pod page, podpage.com at / the True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. Our pod page is sponsored by the wonderful, the amazing, the vibrant, the vivacious, the Ray Girl. Yes.
Indeed.
So please go there.
Sponsored it for a full year.
For a full year. So please go there, register, and that way you will not miss an episode when it's fresh off the bandwidth. When it's fresh off the bandwidth, it will come directly to you. And if you like sponsoring or subscribing, well, then we have more options for you. For subscribing, we have our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page where you can like, share, and subscribe. You can do all three. One after the other, even. If you want to get wild, hey, we're not going to stop you. You can do it all. So you go there, and we really appreciate it that you do. Thank you very much. And to sponsor, well, you can go to our coffee page. That's that squiggly by Mr. Grizzly's wonderfully stylish chapeau. You go there, you scan that, or if you are listening, you go to coffee, ko-fi.com. So ko-fi.com /eagerbeaver, lowercase letter, all in one word. And that's where you can make your contribution to the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund, where coffee, hot chocolate, Caesar, and Guinness are all waiting for us to make sure that we are in peak shape to deliver you a fantastic product. And Mr. Grizzly, yesterday, Kit Cassie, who we asked if she would like to come on the show, said, Mr. B&G. I think I like that.
Mr. B&G.
Mr. B&G. Thanks for the invite to talk. As a farmer, we'll consider right now trying to decide to keep farming or to rent our land to bigger ops and continue our off-farm jobs for some income security. And our son doesn't want to farm. Trust me, there are still progressive conservatives in the West.
And
Cassie,
we need your voices amplified.
Yes. And along with that note, Cassie sent us a tip that I can only describe as insanely generous.
Okay. Wow. Thank you, Cassie.
So
very much
thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you very much. Again, when I saw it yesterday, it was like, oh, wow. So that we resonate in that manner touches us beyond belief. Thank you. Really, we are grateful. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying, I'm sorry, I'm actually a little verklempt.
He's verklempt.
From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver. Yes, I'm tripping over my words now. This is your Eager Beaver saying, it could be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom for us, please?
Actually, yes. I was going to say, if you have the opportunity today, take a moment, if you have the opportunity, to express your gratitude for something good in your life. Many of us, like myself, are going through tough emotional times. I've been in the darkness for a little bit now, and I was largely quiet about it. I, of course, spoke to Bridget about it, and I talked to a couple of my buddies about it last night. They're like, well, why didn't you tell us? And I go, because when I'm in the depths of it, I can't talk about it. And I said, I'm coming out of it, so I'm willing to talk about it now. Because when you're in the depths of it, you don't want to talk about it because it's the only thought that permeates your mind. So if you have the time today, and if you can, take a few minutes to think about something that you're grateful for in your life. And I'm grateful for a lot of things. And I try and express my gratitude, especially when I'm in the dark times, because when you express your gratitude, it makes you feel better because you are fully realizing what is good in your life. And despite my current mental state, I still have a great life. I really do. I mean, I'm broke. I'm going to be working till I die. But I'm okay with that. I've accepted that fate. That's what it is for many of us in Gen X. It doesn't even trouble me. I'm not upset by that. Hey, as long as I can keep myself fed, clothed, and housed, I'm doing better than billions of people in this world. Billions, literally billions. So that doesn't bother me. But when the darkness comes, I need to reach out and find the moments that and the things that I'm grateful for and express them so that it will help to remind me of who I am, where I am, and how I am. And that's all I got.
All right. Mr. Grizzly, please roll them credits. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. All right. And kids, before we send you off for the weekend, we hope, like Mr. Grizzly said, that you take some time to remember what it is for which you are thankful. And if you happen to like volleyball, kids, Team Canada men are 2 matches away for qualifying for the Olympics. They are in second spot in their pool with 5 of the 7 games down. So keep your fingers crossed if you want to see the matches. If you go to the CBC Player Sports, you can cheer them on. And it seems that Canada's men's gymnastics team has qualified for the Olympics for the first time, I think, since 2008. 2008. So way to go. More Canadians making us proud.
There you go.
We love it.
I've got. I want to show you this photograph for those of you who've never been to the city of Ottawa. This is a typical Ottawa day on the canal in the autumn. This is not my photograph, and I believe it's a couple years old. But that's sort of a typical beautiful day from the Rideau Canal in downtown Ottawa.
One of the reasons I love that city. Kids, also in the chat, if you're watching, Mr. Grizzly posted something, a link. That's a link to the Eager Beaver Jukebox Song of the Day. TGIF, Thank God I'm Fly. Listen to it. If you like a good banger that has a little bit of some voguing beats for you, you'll love this. All right.
All righty.
Bruh.
I'll see you.